Month of June marks Youth Month in South Africa. This year's National Youth Month and Youth Day will be commemorated under the theme promoting sustainable livelihood and resilience of young people for a better tomorrow. Yet in South Africa, young people face a number of challenges from high unemployment to various forms of poverty, education, inequality, lack of access to mentorship programs, and many others hinder the youth from bettering their lives. Now, let's discuss this further. We're joined by two youths, Siviwe Mboyana, and a child ambassador from KwaZulu-Natal, and we're also joined by the president of the Unemployed Graduates Movement, Nkululeko Ndlovu. A very warm welcome to both of you, and thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News.
I'm honored to be part of this program.
All right. Let's start with you, Siviwe. I mean, we take a look at, these various challenges, that the youth of today is faced with, and I've named some of them there in the beginning of our conversation. I mean, you look at the high unemployment, GBV, teen pregnancies. I mean, this is also in the week, Child Protection Week. All of this, we know the challenges that children and the youth are facing. You look at these factors, and do you think that you can still remain hopeful as a youth of this country?
Good afternoon, ma'am. Can you hear me before I begin?
I can, yes.
Okay, so I think that there is a hope because there are actually laws put in place, legislations put in place that can protect us from these things. So my tiny sliver of hope is that we will have enough implementation that will be put in place in order for us to be protected from these things. Yes.
And according to you, who should be implementing this? I mean, a lot of people put the burden on the youth themselves to fight the government, to fight, different sectors, to indeed help the youth. Is this a struggle that you believe is your struggle as the youth to fight for?
I do not believe that it is a struggle of the youth. I think that the problem, because firstly, the reason that is demanded from us, the barrier between us and elder people in workplaces. So I think that we as the youth are completing our degrees, we're graduating, and we're still not getting the job. So it's definitely not a problem of the youth yet.
Yeah. Nkululeko, let me come to you on that particular point. I mean, you do represent the graduates that are unemployed. You're president of the Unemployed Graduates Movement. And certainly this must be one of the biggest challenges that the youth of today are facing, that even though you may study, you may try your best to come out of whether it is poverty or try to make a change, at the end of the day, there's not enough jobs out there. Talk to us about this particular struggle that the youth is facing and how you're addressing. I mean, the fact that you are part of a movement that is trying to speak to that. Talk to us about the unemployment which is high among the youth.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm honored to be part of your show today.
Thank you.
My name is Nkululeko Ndlovu, the president of the Unemployed Graduate Movement. All of us, we know in South Africa we've got a crisis of unemployment. People have raised that there's an issue of unemployment. Government is aware that there's an issue of unemployment. I think what is important is to find a solution that will address these issues that we are facing as young people in particular. The government must involve young people, especially the youth of South Africa, because it is the youth of South Africa that is unemployed in South Africa. You have graduates who are unemployed in South Africa who have lost hope. So if the government can include young people to be part and parcel in all decision-making in terms of finding the common solution in dealing or reducing the unemployment rate, we have seen that the unemployment rate has slightly dropped from 35.3% to 34.3%. But we can't celebrate. We'll celebrate when the unemployment rate has dropped to 20%. So as long as we have a government who does not want to include young people in finding solutions toward their own problems that they are facing, when we have government who also does not want to include graduates in these in programs that will elevate, or programs that will transform young people, will continue to encounter such problems that we are having today.
Do you believe, Nkululeko, that this is, your struggle? A lot of focus is put, of course, during the month of June on, 1976, June 16, and what the youth then had to fight against. And obviously it was the repressive laws and, being forced to speak Afrikaans. And they obviously fought that particular battle. Do you believe that, this is your battle? And are you then willing, to fight for it? And if so, how? How are you bringing those who are supposed to be addressing the issue of high unemployment? And I would say in the main, it would probably be government. How are you then putting, placing accountability on government and perhaps even the private sector?
Thank you very much that you have asked this genuine question. The youth of 1976, we owe it to the youth of 1976. Yes, as the unemployed graduate, we are committed to fight this with this struggle. We are going to represent young people of South Africa, and particularly black young people of South Africa, because this is what we have proposed to government. This is what we have proposed to government. The government must enforce entrepreneurship programs. These entrepreneurship programs will assist young people so that will divert from this thing of wanting to find employment. Because it's quite obvious now that we have a government that cannot be able to create employment. If you look at our GDP has increased from 0.7% to 0.9%, which means if you have a GDP that is not strong enough to create employment, we therefore say, we congratulate TVET College that have already produced this, that have already welcomed the entrepreneurship program at TVET College. That is why we are saying the government must also form partnership with universities. Why? We are trying to deal with an issue of unemployment that we are facing. The government must also be able to deal with policies. These policies that we have, they only favor the minority. But if we've got create policies that will favor all race, regardless of the color of the skin, if you introduce young people, in particular graduate, in the agricultural sector, there is a report. This report is an employment equity report. This report is an overview report that shows us that on a national level, provincial level, and a regional level, these are the people who are dominating in key sectors of the economy. As long as we are not a part of key sectors of the economy as young black people of this country, therefore we'll have such issues that we're encountering. When I speak about key sectors of the economy, I speak about agricultural sector, I speak about manufacturing, I speak about ocean economy. When I speak about agricultural sector, 73% of the agricultural sector of this country is in the hands of the minority. Yeah. It tells you that the government does not want to invest in young black people. The government does not want also to invest in small businesses of young black people. Why I'm saying that? It's because there is no need the government to continue to invest in big businesses, because big businesses have already reached this limit that they wanted. So as long as the government does not want to include us, we'll continue to have these programs, and we will have solutions as I provided solutions to us.
Yeah. All right. And then I also, this is a question I actually wanted to pose to Siviwe, but I'm going to pose it to you because I think often it's unfair that, we talk to women about issues of gender-based violence. I mean, every other week, I'm sure you have noticed that we're hearing of a young woman that's been murdered, whether by, a partner, a boyfriend, whatever the situation. Let me pose it to you as a young man in South Africa. What are your views on this kind of, anti-woman behavior, as I'll put it? I mean, you're focusing on the issue of, high unemployment, for example. So it seems as though for young women, the situation is even worse. So you're focusing on, your studies, unemployment, and then also having to worry about, abuse, gender-based violence, and all of that in the mix. What are your thoughts on this and I will call it the plight of young women in our country?
As the Unemployed Graduate Movement, we are against people who abuse women. We are against people who abuse women. We are against people who killed women. We don't need to massage this thing. we need to deal with this problem as early as possible. We need to create programs that will deal with such issues that we are facing. Yes, our young sisters are being killed, are being raped on a daily basis, and we only talk, there's no action. It is time now where we say enough is enough. We stop this gender-based violence and we fight with this gender-based violence as a community. We fight with this gender-based violence as government. We fight with this gender violence also as churches. So it is time where we unite. We say enough is enough. We don't talk now. We create programs that are going to assist us in eliminating this disease that has affected our society. Right. So as the Unemployed Graduate Movement, we are saying we are against with gender-based violence.
All right, Siviwe, you're back with us now. Let's talk then to the issue of gender-based violence. And I don't know if you heard what Nkululeko was adding to that conversation there. I mean, as a young woman living in South Africa, I mean, surely there's so many problems. There's also teenage pregnancy in the mix, and there's also GBV. I mean, how does the youth, young women like yourself, deal with all these added pressures on top of what the youth is already dealing with, the high unemployment rate, depression, all of that's in the mix, and then also on top of it having to basically live a life where you're in fear really because you worry about things like gender-based violence?
Thank you for asking that question. So I think that we should maybe talk a little bit more about the problem. I think that this anti-womanhood is very deeply rooted even within the women, because now they're scared to go into male-dominated career fields. And that, I think, is one of the reasons why, the unemployment rate is so high. And also, we have heard of women specifically being murdered on campus in the universities that they're studying in. So if they can't even stay alive or be protected enough to graduate, the children who are in high school will not want to go to that level because they're in danger. And even if they do graduate, they're still not going to because of the internalized misogyny and the systems put in place to keep women back.
Yeah. Give us a message, for the youth as a youth yourself, as, we enter Youth Month, and of course those commemorations and celebrations for the youth will start at this time. What is your message then for the youth? My message would be know your rights. Know the people who are there to protect you. We have organizations, multiple of them, like the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund, Save the Children South Africa, the Office of the Premier. We always need to know who to hold accountable when, we are not being as protected as we should be. We are not being given the opportunities that we should be. And because of that, it will make it easier for the laws to be put in place that actually protect us as children, that actually give us education, that actually give us more chances of employment. So yes, know your rights and know the people who protect you. All right, thanks, Siviwe. Let me come to you, Nkululeko, and as we wrap up our conversation, let's close it in the same way. Give us your message, Nkululeko, then for the youth as we enter Youth Month, as we start June and slowly heading to June 16 when we will be commemorating the youth of South Africa.
I'll say to the youth of South Africa, it's time for them to rise up. These solutions, they lie in their hands. They must unite. There is hope. The youth of South Africa, they are the hope of this country. They must rise up. They must use their talent. They must form part of entrepreneurship. They must find solution. They must know that there is hope. The Unemployed Graduate Movement will bring hope for them.
All right. Thanks very much to both of you, youth activists, talking to us there, Siviwe Mboyana, as well as Nkululeko Ndlovu, speaking to us as we enter Youth Month. All right. Thanks to both of them there. Air passengers.